Hi everybody. In this part, this is going to be part 3, we're going to go through the building of the forks, and by the end of this part we're going to have a roller. So stay tuned. So the first step in making the new forks is going to be figuring out where everything goes. Just like with the frame, I already had a set of forks built. I'll try to post some pictures of what they looked like before, and they would have worked fine with the old motor that I had, but with this new heavier motor they're not going to work. So had to come up with a new design, so I'm going to go with a more traditional style fork that you'd see in a lot of the early 1900s Harley Davidsons, those kind of board track racers. So after figuring out my rake and everything, I just kind of figured out where my axle needed to be to make the frame level, and then cut some tubes, those right there, and now I'll have to start bending them. I'm not really drawing this out, I'm just kind of going by how everything looks good, so I'm just gonna kind of wing it. We'll see how it goes. After I figured out where my forks were gonna go and kind of like the general shape, I came up with the design. So this is gonna be the main runner right here. The top of this is gonna follow the steering stem geometry, so I get the rake I need, and then I'm going to run a smaller 3/4 inch off of the axle plate and then up, and then I'll have it bend near the top so it kind of goes back to the main tube. So for the axle plates, I just made a template out of cardboard, just figuring out which way the tubes were going to intersect, and then I cut 2 of them out at the same time on the bandsaw and just drilled a hole with a drill for the axle. So that's how I made those. You can do it a lot of different ways. If you have a plasma cutter, you could probably do it that way. And you can see I cut the tube so I can weld it to it easily. I'm going to do the same thing to the other tube also. So my plan is basically to build the forks in half and then make a jig to attach them so everything's all square. And that's going to be it for this part. So you can see here I got the one side of the fork legs mocked up. This is 1 inch tube, this is 3/4 inch tube. As you can see here, I had to pie cut it because my tube bender, I only have dies going down to 1 inch. I don't have anything smaller than that. So tried to bend it on the 1 inch, didn't work out so well, so I ended up doing pie cuts. Just got it tacked in place right now. But yep, there's one side. I'm gonna have a brace also that goes from here to there. I haven't decided if I'm going to wait to weld that together until I put the stem in or not, but this is what I got so far. Before doing any more with the forks, I figured I would thread the stem, so I figured out what length it would need to be, cut it down, and then threaded it with a Harley type like headset threading tap, and then this is the die right here. It's 1 inch by 24 TPI, and then usually a lot of Harley guys will use these to rethread or thread the stems. So I just picked up one of these too. I didn't have a die holder that big, so this worked out pretty well. You can get them on Amazon, eBay, so definitely came in handy. And then for the bolt, or the nut I should say, I got just a typical Harley nut with this is like a lock washer. So that's what I'm going to use to hold everything together. I did it now, so it's a lot easier. Once I get the legs on the sides, it's going to be really hard to get in there. So on to the next part. Okay, now I put everything together. I put it in the vise this way just so I can make sure the wheel is going to run true. That way I could check all my measurements too before I tacked everything into place. So with a little crossbar there, I'm going to probably put one more going from here to here on each side. But the stem's all tacked in, the forks are all tacked together, and I'm going to put it on the bike and see if it's a good roller now. So hopefully everything works, and next shot should be me riding it, hopefully. So here it is, first time as a roller, set for the new engine. Pretty happy with how all the proportions turned out. Everything's just kind of loose on there right now. I still got to final weld the forks. They're just tacked on there right now. Yeah, it looks pretty good though. In this part we covered the building of the forks. So now the thing's a roller. The hardest part is done. So I know it's not as detailed as I would have liked, but I hope everyone gets the picture. If you have any questions or you want to see like actual pictures of like a certain detail or whatever, just let me know, and I could take those for you. Also on Instagram, I have a lot of pictures on there. It's Nate_Mainville. If you want to see a little more detail, just check out that place. As far as the next part, part 4, that's going to be probably the building of the jack shaft. That way I can get the motor working and hook it up to the rear wheel. So stay tuned for part 4.